Good morning, Wall Street winners. It is Wednesday, July 31st, and boy, oh boy, was yesterday ever an interesting day. We heard from Microsoft yesterday in the post-market, as well as AMD. SoFi reported pre-market, and then in the post as well, we heard from EA. And what we're seeing is an interesting point in the narrative that the market has right now. So what we're seeing is that firms like Microsoft and Google, who have come out and had good results, good earning, good revenue, Microsoft missing a little bit in their cloud segment in terms of revenue growth. It was anticipated that the growth would be a little better. But overall, really strong numbers, but also increased investment in AI. It's causing investors and analysts to turn on those stocks and really push back, causing a decline after earnings announcements. So some of the big Mag 7 are really getting hit during this quarterly earnings release cycle, and it'll be very interesting to see today whether the same is true for Meta, which announces after market today, and then there's Lam Research. On the positive side, AMD came out, had fabulous results, fabulous earnings and revenue, and good future forecast, and it went up after market yesterday. We heard from Humana this morning. Humana is getting killed. It's down significantly in the market after a big revenue miss. Earnings were fine. They managed to cut expenses and earnings were pretty much in line with what was expected. But the future guidance for the year has been lowered to the tune of $1 billion or more, which is quite significant. And it's getting hit in the pre-market. I think it's off $34 right now. We'll take a look at that momentarily. If we look at the futures market today, I was surprised to wake up and see green on the screen, and particularly for the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ is almost up more than 1.5%, or almost 300 points. After the bad Microsoft print yesterday, or the way it was analyzed, coming in negative yesterday, I thought we were going to be waking up to red on the screen across the board, but it is the exact opposite. We had some activity, unfortunately, in the Middle East, with Israel performing two twin strikes in Tehran, attempting to kill one of the military leaders there. Not sure whether that was successful or not, but regardless, it has sent crude futures through the roof. They are up more than 2% this morning. So let's turn to the Yahoo app and take a look at what's going on with all the craziness here. So we'll see that the crude is up $2.63. Now, it has hit a lower than expected low, in my opinion, in the last couple of days, being down in the $74, $75 range, but it has taken a big bounce based on tensions increasing in the Middle East, or anticipated to increase. The NASDAQ futures are now up 300 points. We've got the Fed making an announcement today at 2 o'clock, so that'll be interesting to see. The VIX, which has been up as high as the 1819s recently, has now dropped a point. It's just under 17. And as we scroll down through our list, let's take a look at what we're following. So we see primarily green on the screen. We've got Home Depot announcing results coming up in the next 2 weeks. So this is going to be one I'm going to start to keep my eye on. I'm not sold that home renos and all the products sold at this large big box chain are really going to be where the consumer is focusing their discretionary spending right now. I think we may see a continued pullback there in that stock. But if we look at Humana in the healthcare sector, which announced this morning, Humana's down $34. So it had a strong day yesterday, hoping to kind of, I think, riding the coattails of HCA Healthcare's beat. GE Healthcare, one we don't follow, it also missed on its earnings and revenue report this morning, but Humana is down significantly, down almost 8.5%, over 8.5%, almost $35 there, after posting its results, and those results not being what the market was looking for and going in the right direction. So we move down to oil. We're going to see some green on the screen today. It'd be hard not to, with crude up $2.58 going into the early session. discussion, this could be an interesting one to jump on, but just watch for crude to turn. I don't think it will. I think we're going to see it stay up today. Not sure whether we'll see it stay up at the levels it's at today, but with the tensions in the Middle East and the potential outcome for that, that provides some instability, and instability in the case of oil producing regions typically increases the price. So I do think it would be favorable to get on board with some of your oil stocks today. There's likely going to be a bit of an uplift there, as the tide is going to lift all boats. If we turn down to tech, so we're starting to now see the tides turn a little bit, particularly in the chip stocks. We've had some news on multiple fronts here on the semiconductor space. First of all, the US is thinking about their next round of sanctions, and they're looking at possibly excluding from those sanctions the likes of Japan and the Netherlands, which means very good things for companies in both of those regions. We have Micron, which is up almost as much as it was down yesterday in the pre-market. CrowdStrike took a huge hit yesterday. I would be staying away from CrowdStrike. Not a lot of good news to come out of that company for the next little while, in my opinion. So I would be steering clear of that one. Palantir up in the pre-market, but not significantly, not even as much as it was down yesterday. Apple set to be up, and it reports tomorrow. We've got CRM is down. I do think it'll correct and come up today. I think it's on its way back to 300 in the next couple of months, and it has earnings coming out towards the end of August, beginning of September. Palo Alto looking like it's going to make back some of what it was down yesterday. Net, which had great earnings and was up to 78 the other day on those earnings after the release, was down yesterday. I think this will get back up into the 78, maybe $80 range today. Microsoft, you can see after their earnings, it's down a lot less than it was in the aftermarket yesterday at 4 o'clock. It was down in the $20, $24 range for a point in time, but it has now come up, and it's looking like it's going to open in the low 400s. I think this is going to be a very attractive opportunity to buy Microsoft, but I don't think we've seen the end of the dip. I think we want to hold off here, give it a little bit of time. I think it's going to stay down in the high 390s, maybe get into the 380s. And then it will make its way back. I think it'll probably end the year close to, if not in the $500 range. But I'd be holding off on that because I don't think we've seen the last of that. I think we'll see a bit of a dip today at the open, even with the NASDAQ doing as well as it is. ARM is set to release today. So we've got ARM Holdings at the end of the day. It is up almost 5.5% pre-market. This will be a very interesting one. I think we're going to get some great news out of ARM today, as we've seen out of AMD and TSM. I can't understand how they would not have positive earnings based on where they are in this AI cycle. And then we get down to ON, which had some great earnings earlier this week, up in the 78 range, and was down yesterday, looking like it should make a comeback as well. AMD positive after its earnings here, up $11.50, but well off of its 180 highs for in the last month or so for the year. And then as we scroll down, Lam Research, another one to report today after earnings, up $35. This is a $1,000, $1,200 stock by the end of the year. And it was down in the 800s, is a bit of a bargain right now. This stock should get up to the high 900s after earnings today, as they should come in very positive for this organization. And then as we scroll down, the other big one today is Meta. So Meta really flat in the pre-market right now, which is a surprise. But this is going to all depend on what Meta is going to talk about around its previous and current AI spend, its CapEx spend on AI, and how it's attributing those investments to revenue today and going forward in the rest of the year. And if they have a good story there, this stock could really, really take off. If they have a bad story, or not a great story, I think what we're going to see is the same as what's happened to Google or Alphabet and Microsoft, and it's going to potentially come back a little bit, but still a stock that I am a huge fan of. And then as we get down to Google, Google's making a small comeback today. I think we're going to see these stocks that got hit start to make their way back. It cannot not go up today if the NASDAQ is up 300 points in the pre-market. So look to these stocks to all make a positive move today. And then we get down into banking. SoFi had some great earnings, great future forecasts. It's doing everything that analysts want to see. It was kind of bouncing around a little bit yesterday instead of popping, which surprised me. But I think we're going to start to see this continue and the stock continue to go up. I would be buying and have been buying SoFi. I believe it's going to be an $8 or $9 stock by the end of the year. It's on a positive growth trajectory. All of the things that the company wants to do are working in its favor and happening. And I think it's a really strong investment going forward and a very low entry point for most retail investors. And then as we scroll down, the big boys here, Goldman, Morgan Stanley. Goldman had a phenomenal day yesterday, up almost $13. Looks like it could be a repeat today. And we're seeing that just pull up really everything in finance from small regionals all the way up to the big investment banks. So that's where we are. Good luck with your trades today. Keep an eye out at 2 o'clock for what Chair of the Fed Reserve Chair Jerome Powell says around pending interest rate cuts in the U.S. and grab a hold of this upward trend in the NASDAQ and make some profits off those stocks that are going to lift today. Good luck with your trades. If you're liking these videos, please hit the subscribe and like button. Let me know what you'd like me to talk about in the future. I'd be happy to do that.